In this video, we cover how to target striped bass from the shore. We'll first cover where shore-caught striped bass can be found. We'll then go over the ideal conditions for them, followed by some tips on casting as well as some other key techniques. We'll then look at the ideal setup to use for targeting striped bass, along with some ideal baits when targeting them from the shore. So where can we find striped bass? Surf-caught stripers can actually be found along most of the east and southern coasts, as well as in smaller number on the west coast. Along the east stretch, they are most reliably caught as far north as the beaches of Massachusetts, all the way down to Carolina. Along the western coast, they are most commonly caught as far north as southern Oregon, leading all the way down along the coasts of northern California. So what are the best conditions for striped bass in the surf? Along the east coast, stripers will migrate northwards in spring, with the typical season for Virginia, Maryland, and Delaware falling between the months of April to June. The same applies to New Jersey. By the time they reach New York State, this will typically be between June up to the fall season. Many of the migratory fish will be in southern waters below Carolina during winter. Around the San Francisco Bay Area, during the summer, the stripers will move both north and south along the coast, offering an ideal seasonal surf window. These include areas such as Point Reyes and Monterey Bay. Stripers will feed best when there is good tidal flow in the surf. This will be throughout both the flood tide and the ebb tide, when the waterline is either coming in or going out. The slack points of the tide, which will happen around low tide and high tide, will be less productive due to reduced tide flow. Dawn and dusk, as for many species, can be a key feeding period. Despite this, they can be caught throughout both the day and night. This species will prefer an easy to moderate surf action, which will promote movement of prey and create ideal ambush conditions. In very rough seas, such as storms, the bass will be further out, often beyond the reach of safe surf fishing. Avoid fishing in conditions where strong waves and back currents will cause dangerous conditions. So where do we need to cast for surf-caught stripers? Jetties or other man-made structure provide both hiding places for prey as well as points of ambush for the bass themselves. So casting near to this structure can be effective. Scope the ground at low tide to find sandbars or sandbanks, which you can then aim your baits to as they are covered by the tide. Troughs or gullies are also ideal features to aim to due to the fact they gather food outside the main flow of current that would otherwise be moving along the sea floor. Fishing near small inlets or outflows can also provide a channel of food which will attract stripers. Remember, stripers are not deterred by low salinity conditions. As the tide comes in, casting just before the first sandbar during the later part of the flood tide can be an effective choice. Be sure to cast as close to the sandbar as possible, as this is where the bass will lie in wait. As soon as high tide approaches, be sure to fish good and tight to the shoreline, as this is when bass will harry schools of bait fish, trapping them against the shore. During the ebb or out tide, be sure to fish the cuts where the currents sweep back out and draw bait fish through. These areas can be scoped out at low tide where gaps between sandbars are present. You'll now need to know what tackle and gear you will need. A surf rod, also known as a beach caster, will provide enough strength to fight potentially powerful fish. A spinning reel, also known as a fixed spool, will be all we need. This should be able to hold 200 yards of 20 pounds line, so a size of around 8,000 or more will be suitable. Ideally, you should use either fused mainline or braided mainline, as their low diameter will allow you to cast 30 pounds breaking strain more effectively, which is the ideal strength for handling specimen striper. If you wish to use mono, use no higher than 20 pounds breaking strain. A fluorocarbon leader will add abrasion resistance and extra stealth. Use a breaking strain of 10 pounds per each ounce of weight you intend to cast. A fish finder rig, also known as a running ledger, is an ideal choice for maximum bite detection and ideal bait presentation for this species. A pyramid sinker is ideal for surf fishing, as it will often move momentarily and find fish holding features in the process. A weight of 4 ounces will suit many surf rods, but always be sure to match your surf rod's casting weight. Use a fluorocarbon hook length of 40 pounds breaking strain. Have this at a length of around 24 inches to present your baits in a natural way. Use a circle hook between size 1/0 to size 5/0 depending on expected potential catch sizes. Note that in certain states it is a legal requirement to use circle hooks for more effective catch and release practice. So which baits are ideal for striper? Live baits can work well, though whole-cut dead baits can be equally as effective for specimen striper. Chunks or strips of fish baits of all kinds, such as menhaden, will catch stripers of all sizes. When bites are scarce or you're dealing with smaller-sized bass, then baits such as crab can be effective for non-specimen sized stripers, as can squid baits and also clam baits. Want to know how to target stripers from freshwater lakes? Or maybe you'd like to see a list of top lake locations where stripers can be caught? If so, check out our video links showing now. Be sure to check out the channel page for many videos covering fishing in the USA as well as other destinations around the world. Don't forget to hit subscribe to stay notified. Thanks for watching Lighthouse Tutorials. We look forward to seeing you again soon.